Hello, statistics. So I wanted to talk a little bit about part 3 and part 4 of your projects. So part 3 wants you to construct a frequency distribution using 5 to 8 classes, and also to create 2 different appropriate pictorial representations of your data. I'm going to show you a couple different ways in order to do this. I'm going to show you a little bit in Excel. I'm going to show you a little bit of free online tools. I'm also going to show you a little bit with StatCrunch once we get to part 4. So let's get started here. I'm going to also have an announcement. In that announcement, there's going to be some links. So the first one is going to be where you just want to take a look step by step. This is actually the maker. So if I go to my data, I am going to grab my data in Excel. So I'm going to do Control and C at the same time. So I highlighted all of my data, Control C at the same time. I come back into my histogram maker. In my box here, I'm going to click in the box. I'm going to hit Control C at the same time. All of my data should be in there. And then I'm going to hit Generate. When it does that, this is a very powerful. As I can see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 total classes. And down here, it tells me my class range, the number of classes, lowest class value, my highest class value, my mean, my standard deviation, my lowest score, my highest score. It gives me a frequency distribution chart. So it gives me a lot of really powerful information. But for a lot of you guys, what's going to happen? You're going to look at this and say, what does this actually mean? So I'm going to click on this second link here. And this is going to give me that step-by-step. What does this mean? How do I even calculate it? Frequency distribution tables tells me how to construct it. And also along the line, what it's actually showing me. Frequency is nothing more than a count. So once I get my classes, remember a class has to have equal grouping. So this one right here, 35 to 44, 45 to 54. You have to make sure you have that equal group in each of your classes. Frequency means I go back to my data, I count how many of each of those is in the class. Cumulative is where I accumulate along the way. So as we can see, the frequency in the first group here was 1. So that's the cumulative frequency because that's my first bin. That's my first set of buckets. If I had 2 in the next one, what I did was I accumulated. I had 1 plus those 2 more gives me 3. I have 3 plus those 2 more gives me a total of 5. So that's what that frequency distribution is going to look like. You're going to include the different pieces, the frequency distribution, the cumulative frequency distribution. We also want to create 2 different appropriate pictorials. You can do this in Excel. So I have my data in Excel here, and I am going to choose Insert. When I choose Insert, there's different charts I can choose. Let's say I want to do a pie chart here. I don't want just the data. What do I want? I want it off of wherever I decided to create my frequency table. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to select these pieces. Again, Control C will copy it. I go to Excel, Control V pastes it. Now I have what? I have the information I want. So it's highlighted. I have all this part highlighted. You see how it's nice and highlighted. I'm going to click on the pie. I want a 2D pie chart. So now I created myself a pie chart. What do I want to do here? I'm going to call this whatever I did. I'm going to call this a pie chart for how many pieces of candy at Halloween. You can be anything you want. This was just a random distribution. So now I have a pie chart. So that's one pictorial. I can go back and select my data again. I am going to choose Insert again. This time I want a histogram. So I'm going to choose my histogram. And now I have a different representation. Now this is going to be a histogram. of pieces of candy at Halloween. And so as I do this, if I right click here, I am going to be able to change my chart type if I didn't like the way it was. I can also format that chart area. By clicking on that, that's going to change over here, the fill colors and things like that. There's different ways that you can go about looking at it. I can format my grid line, I can format my axes, I can make sure I have all the data I want. So as you go through, make sure you choose the correct pieces. But that's the second part of part 3. When I get to part 4, compile at least 8 summary statistics. So this is where you want to talk about what? This would be something along the line of, what are they? Measures of central tendency, measures of central value, and also measures of spread. So this is where we're looking for what? The mean, the median, the mode. We can also do the range, quartiles, Q1, Q2, Q3. We can also do IQR, interquartile range. We can do the standard deviation. We can include the variance. So where's the easiest place to do this? Probably StatCrunch, right? In order to do that, I need raw data. I'm going to come back into Excel. I'm going to do Shift and the down arrow to get all my data, or you can just drag it. Control C again. What I need to do is open StatCrunch. So we looked at that video where I showed you how to open StatCrunch. I am going to do Control V in StatCrunch to get all my data. I then can choose Stat, Summary Stats, and Column because I have all my data in column. I want to select the column, variable 1, and then my statistics. I'm going to choose a whole bunch. I want the count, I want my mean, I want my variance, I want my standard deviation, I want my median, I want my range, my minimum, my maximum, my Q1. I also want Q3. I can get the IQR. I can get my mode. And so I have a whole bunch. And then what do I do in here? I hit compute. Now I have my table. I have my count, my mean, I have my variance, my standard deviation, my median, my range, my minimum, my maximum, my Q1, Q3, IQR mode. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different statistics. Remember, it's also asking me to do what? Write a brief paragraph describing the meaning of the statistics you chose. So what does this mean? What does my mean mean? What is my median? You guys talked about that in your discussion posts last week. And then when I have my standard deviation, my variance, what do those things mean? So those are some of the things that you want to do. You can choose to do them all in Excel. You can choose to do it all with free pieces online. You can choose to do it all in StatCrunch, which is why I wanted to show you a couple different ways to do it. Good luck on parts 3 and 4 as well, and we'll talk to you soon.